What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another edition at BucksReport.com with your host, Mr. Buccaneer Blake Cabell himself. I got a bunch of hosts on here today. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of recent news and everything. So let me go ahead and do roll call right now. First up, we got Mr. Philip Schwegler from Red Fab Podcast. Let me go ahead and bring him on. Phil, you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
All right.
That's
Next,
all I'm
we got Miss Christine Nugent, and she's going to talk to us about her amazing product and the Buccaneers and all the types of news we got going on. Here we go.
What's up, everybody?
And last but certainly not least, my better half, my Mel Gibson, and I'm Danny Glover because I am getting too old for this stuff. Mr. Peter Blake and the Sports Web.
What's going on, buddies? How you guys doing? What's going on? Welcome to the Sports Web / Blake&Blake Sports / everybody's here. So if I'm Mel Gibson, I guess I'm the crazy football fan. Again, I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. What's going on tonight?
What's going on? Well, let's introduce our guest, Miss Christine Nugent. Why don't you tell everybody about yourself and what you bring to the table today?
Well, what's up? Thank you guys for having me. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. I'm a first timer and I'm a lifer now. So, I'm here to just bring the latest and greatest in health and wellness to all of you through the use of pure therapeutic ketones. I'm really passionate about the conversation. I'm a registered nurse, so my brain's a little sciencey. Don't let me get too off course and too in depth for you guys. But really passionate about it. It changed our lives almost 16 months ago now. And we just have a really awesome powder that you put into your drink, all natural, nothing artificial. Everybody's killing themselves right now trying to do the keto diet and get in shape and lose fat and feel better. And now you technically don't have to do that. You can just drink a pure therapeutic ketone product, comes straight from USF, right in our backyard here in Tampa. And I don't know if you guys have any questions or if you just want me to keep rambling, but you tell me. You're the boss.
Well, seeing as she said that you're the boss, I guess I'm going to take the lead here. Tell us about the keto diet,
Of course.
and why is it so beneficial?
Yeah, love it. Well played. So the keto diet, for those of you guys that don't know, is a very high fat, moderate protein, very low sugar, low carb diet. So it's great. It's very effective. People lose fat very quickly. They have mental clarity, focus. They sleep better. They have better moods. The only thing is that you're not taking in any sugar and carbohydrates, which, as you could imagine, is a little difficult to maintain long term. There's sugar and carbohydrates in everything that we ingest, especially here in America. There's high fructose corn syrup and everything. So it's just hard to avoid, right? So it's effective, but it's hard to keep going on. So now you can keep going no matter what you take in, which is the best part about all this. You do not have to follow the strict ketogenic diet. You can drink these all natural fermented ketone molecules that are bioidentical and bioavailable. Two big words, I know. To your to the human body. So all that means for you and I is that we can absorb 100% of what's in this product, and whatever we don't, it's water soluble, so you'll just excrete out. But your body is in a state of nutritional ketosis, utilizing your own fat for fuel within 30 to 60 minutes of drinking this drink.
All
wow.
right. That
sounds good. Sounds really good. I can't, Blake, can you avoid the sugar? Because I know there's times I can't avoid it, and I think, and you would agree with me on this, Christy, that it's usually the sports drinks, the Gatorades, and your energy drinks that have a lot of the sugar, right? Plus, of course, the sodas, but the sports drinks and the energy drinks, right?
Yeah, I mean, yes, there's so many hidden sugars and all that stuff. We were actually just talking at the gym tonight about, a lot of the branched chain amino acid drinks, and a lot of the drinks in general are packed full of sugar. And whether or not it says it in the sugar nutritional facts, there's hidden sugars too, right? There's hidden carbohydrates in everything. So unless you're like sitting there counting your macros and reading every single label, which, let's be honest, who has time for that? You just don't know. So you're just taking in. We're a society that's very quick to take in anything just to get to the next level or get that energy, whether it's another 16th cup of coffee or a Red Bull or a Monster energy drink, things that like increase your heart rate. They're not the healthiest things for you. They're a quick up, but they're a quick crash, right? And so that's what we're trying to avoid. We're trying to avoid like those spikes in blood sugars and those spikes in insulins and then subsequent crashes. When you're burning fat for fuel and when you have a natural energy source, which is a ketone molecule, you go clean for like 6 to 8 hours. So you feel fantastic, but you're also churning out fat for fuel. So it's awesome.
Nice. Sounds like a great diet. Blake, are you on this diet yet or what? Are you getting in shape?
Yeah. Round is a shape, but yeah, I'm trying to get in shape. But yeah, she definitely sold me on that. I bought something from her from the gym, so I'm definitely on board with her. Going to support her, and that's why she's here. She's supporting us and putting herself out there as well. So, Phil, if I'm not mistaken, you're a chef, ain't you?
Sure, I'm a sous chef over at the Safety Harbor Resort over here in Safety Harbor, but yeah. So, but working in the kitchen though, I mean, you live off of Red Bull and water, so going to something like that would probably benefit me a little bit better. But right now the Red Bulls work.
Phil's been holding out on us. He didn't tell us he was a chef. He could have been cooking for us all these remotes. We didn't have to eat all these bad wings, although they are very good at Ferg's. And of course, join all of us. You guys are going to be there on Saturday at Ferg's on Central Avenue. Been around since 1992 for the AAF watch party between the Orlando Apollos and the Atlanta Legends. Swags, you could have been cooking us food here, probably making us more healthy instead of, like Blake said, round.
Well, you guys just call me up. Let me know. Come by the restaurant.
Oh, you heard that,
I
Christine.
got your dinner.
I'm like right around the corner, so I'll be there with ketones for
Perfect.
you tomorrow morning.
There you go.
Right,
there you go. So there was some big news last night with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Bruce Arians hiring 2 full-time coaches and Lori Locust. And also, if I can pronounce this name correctly, please forgive me.
Don't butcher it too bad.
Morale Vindafar?
We'll go with that. Well, it's French, right?
Whatever you say, buddy. Whatever you say. So I got to ask Kristen here, what do you think of these hires by Arians? This is a progressive hiring. To me, it should be overdue at this point because I think there's a lot of women like yourself out there. There's a lot of women in general that know the game of football, also that want to learn the game of football. And because of these coaches being hiring, it's maybe opened up some doors that were never opened before. Go ahead and comment about that a little bit.
Yeah, no, I think it's a very powerful conversation. We were talking earlier in the gym too. Like we're so ready to see the Bucs organization just rise and start dominating. We have all the potential. We have all the talent. We just need some of the pieces to fall in place. So we are ready for a killer season. We've every season we're ready. We'll always support. We bleed red in this house, but I have good feelings about this season. I really do, especially with all this new blood coming into the organization. Let's see what they have. Let's see the power that they're going to bring.
So Peter, she's going above and beyond. She even got the players on her stuff. So that's how dedicated she is to this team.
She's a smart girl. She's a smart woman. I shouldn't say girl. I should say woman. She's a smart woman by saying the Bucs are going to turn it around. I absolutely believe that. And I think it's because of coaching. Coaching was probably the biggest free agency acquisition they've had in this offseason, although it seems like free agency for the Bucs has been kind of boring. So I'm going to put you on the spot. I know we're jumping ahead here, but how many wins are you saying the Bucs are going to have this season? I know it's early, but hey, that's what we do here on the Sports Web, live on Bucs Report nightly and also on Blake&Blake Sports.
And Red Flag.
That's right, Red Flag Podcast. Can't forget Swags over there. Swags, you've been so quiet.
I know. Well, you're not giving – no, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
My number's 12. I'm saying 12.
Whoa. That means
Okay.
4 losses.
Okay.
It's a nice
And what's
round
the- what-
number. We got this.
Okay. And what's the reason for 12 wins in your opinion?
It's just I tend to go with my heart, and it's what my heart was spitting out at me, and so I'm going to go with that, and I'm going to stick with that number.
Okay. I can definitely respect that. Absolutely respect that. So, Yeah, I mean, I think there's exciting times going on in Tampa Bay with the coaching hirings, and of course the two women being hired as full-time coaches. I think that's awesome. Eventually, I think you're going to see some general managers, maybe even some women football players. I mean, I can absolutely see that eventually, and I don't think it's a bad thing. Look, if you're qualified for the job, go for it. You guys have been quiet over there. You comment on this.
Yeah, I'm 100% on board with that. Trying expanding new things, like I talked to Christine today. Always be open to new things.
Yes.
Never close doors. You don't know what's behind it. You don't know what that person can bring. You don't know what they bring to the table, and then you'd be surprised the things you might open up when you let somebody else in the door and give them a shot. I think it's personally cool that we're opening the door not one, but two doors for somebody. So I think that's cool. And if you say wins, I'd say I think they get in the double digit. I think about 10-6 this season.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the same thing. Either 10-6, maybe 9-7 season. If things start going really well in that first quarter of football, I can definitely see them maybe winning 11 or 12 games.
Yeah,
and to comment on, the two women, becoming full-time coaches, I think it's amazing. I mean, Bruce Arians has the most diverse coaching staff in the NFL right now, with all, the African-American coaches that he has, the two women coaches. I mean, they have a very rounded out group in this coaching staff, and they're all very good coaches. They have proven track records. This is something the Buccaneers, haven't seen in their organization in a long time. Coaches that have a level head and who understand the game and who can get the most out of their players. I mean, Bruce Arians alone has coached Peyton Manning, Ben Roethlisberger, and then Andrew Luck. These are all premier quarterbacks in this league. So definitely a lot to really look forward to this season. And if they can translate what he's done in the past to what they can do now at the Buccaneers, I mean, we're looking at, 10, 11, 12 win season.
Yeah, I like it. And I think this organization overall has been progressive with the African-American hires with Tony Dungy and, of course, Lovie Smith. And also now, having two full-time full-time coaches on this staff, which is awesome. And they're definitely qualified. One was an AF with the Memphis Express coaching the defensive line, and the other worked at Advent Health in Seattle and also did some residency at VCU. So tell us more about you, Christine, a little bit more about your football background a little bit, and then we'll try to get into the draft a little bit, because there's fans out here. We're going to get out to Bucks Report, because the thing that's different about our shows on Bucks Report, we love the fans. And when we're on the sports web, we call it the evolution of sports talk television. And the reason why is there's no studio, no station needed. We just like to talk to our fans. So tell us kind of your football background. How long have you been a Bucks fan for? How long have you followed football in general? And then saying that, with these two coaching hirings, does it make you think, because you love football so much, hey, maybe one of these days I like to be involved in football in some aspect?
Yeah, heck yeah. So, great questions. I basically was born and raised. I'm a Jersey girl. Do not hold it against me. Blake already tried to do it early. Today.
That's all right. Look, most Floridians down here are from New York, New Jersey, Boston, and Chicago. We're all used to it down here because it's a transplant state. So go ahead.
True. Thank you. So born and raised a Giants fan, actually. Every Sunday, it was nachos, fireplace, and some Giants football. My entire life. And then I went and swam Division I, college, James Madison University, go Duke Dogs. And when I was there, we won the CAA championship in football, which was super fun. So that kind of, got my college football love started. And then I moved to Tampa probably almost 10 years ago. And sort of by the way of the universe and how the world works, just ran into a bunch of the football wives, actually started working with some of them, and got introduced to the team, and just, built relationships and just became a diehard fan. So we not only are just fans, but we're also friends, and now we're family, and that's why we love Tampa Bay.
Welcome to this family too, Christine.
Thank you. It's honestly, it's an honor and a pleasure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what it is. It's all about being fans. You want to be a part of a family. And I think a lot of fans in Tampa Bay, they go into the games, the real diehards. I mean, those people, they know each other. They're really good friends. They hang out before the game. They go out after the games and they cry and they cheer for, wins or losses. So I think it's something that, specifically Tampa has something that's very special as far as the fan base being so close.
So, Christine, you didn't answer the question. Do you want to get into coach? Did you want to get into coaching? Do you want to get into any football aspect besides watching it and being friends with some of the wives? Do you want to get into coaching now? Does this make you want to get into coaching or into the NFL or into college football in any way?
I am very happy doing what I'm doing and spectating, to be perfectly honest with you. It's funny. This whole woman thing is like new to me. Like football's always been a man's sport to me, like always. I'm all about equality. Do not get me wrong. I'm a woman that works very, very hard day in and day out. And I provide for my family, but like, it's always been a man's sport. So it's going to take me a little bit here to wrap my head around seeing women maybe potentially on the field. I don't know. This is a whole new, and I'm just being honest with you, because I know some of the viewers are probably thinking the same thing. Like, I don't know how this is all going to go down, but it's going to be a fun thing to watch and be a part of. I'm just not ready yet to be on the sidelines with the clipboard and the stuff in my hands. I'm going to shout and sit back and watch and enjoy the game.
Yeah, I mean, you have reps. You have Amy Trask, who is a part of the Oakland Raiders organization. Eventually, I think you may have an owner. I mean, look, again, if a woman is qualified for the job, go for it. I'm all about teaching women about football. I think, look, you got a responsibility if you're a man, if you have a wife, if you have a girlfriend, if you have a significant other, if you have a mother or sister or an aunt who wants to learn about football. And trust me, I've tried to do everything I can to corrupt every woman in my family to being a football fan. If you have that opportunity and you know the game and you can teach somebody about it, do it, because it's going to be better off for you in the long run. Wouldn't you agree?
Totally agree. Like, if you can't chill and hang and watch football on a Sunday, I don't even know what you are. So, yes, I agree.
Get this woman a show on Bucks Report after that. All right, let's go out to Bucks Report, guys, shall we? Let's read some of these text messages, and then we'll go from there. Corey trolling, like always. Breaking news, Big Ben requests traded to Bucks. Nonsense. That is nonsense, Corey. There is no trade like that. Russ says Ben would be good considering Arians coaching him in the past. Guys, there's a quarterback here. His name is Jameis Winston. He's your franchise quarterback. Stop with the nonsense. Lightning wins 6-3 over the Carolina Hurricanes. John Cooper with his 300th win as a head coach, not the 500th, I don't believe. Somebody says drink water. Smart water wasn't working, though. Smart water's not very good, right, Christine? Not very good at all because there's a lot of sugar in it.
There's so many. If you just do plain old smart water with just electrolytes in it, you're fine. It's when you start adding, like you said, the color and the sugar and all that. Yeah, you don't.
Yeah, Peter, leave those bangs alone, Peter. I tried to tell you about those.
Hey, would you shut up and be quiet? You do the same thing. All right, let's go back out to Bucks Report here. Let's see. What is the deal with Big Ben? I haven't seen the news lately. There's nothing. I think they've taken care of all the drama there with the Steelers. You guys would agree with getting rid of Mr. Big Chest to the Oakland Raiders, and then Le'Veon Bell, Mr. Cash Stealer himself with the Jets. I just made that name up.
I mean, that's what happened.
Jason says 7 if they're lucky. A pessimistic view. I think there's some fans around the Bay Area on Bucks Report that look at free agency and say, well, it's an indicator of how this team is going to be. I don't necessarily buy that. I think coaching will improve it. And if you think that Bruce Arians being the coach is only going to improve this team to 2 wins, then okay, Bucks least 8-8. Let's see. How can the Bucks pass on Greedy? You can't. Other defensive line will be available later in the draft. This is the truth. Well, it's easy to pass up on a corner because simply they have Vernon Hargraves. They have Carlton Davis. They spent some capital on that. I don't think you draft Greedy Williams at number 5, a guy that can't tackle. Blake and Swags, you can go ahead and comment on this. I think, look, if there's a defensive lineman and a defensive end, and even Christine, you can comment on this. 2 things you got to have in the NFL. You got to get after the passer. You got to have a quarterback. The Bucs have a quarterback, but they don't have enough on that defensive line to get after the quarterback. You guys agree?
Agree.
Totally agree. Yep. Yep. And I think you got to have extra body, especially on the defensive line, how much they're going to be blitzing the quarterback. You got to have those big body outside linebackers, defensive ends, and whatever you want to call them. So cornerback, I think, is the least of our worries right now as we head into the draft.
Somebody says Greedy isn't good enough to take at 5. Of course, join us on Saturday starting at noon for Blake and Blake Sports with yours truly, along with Mr. Blake Cable, who's in the house right now. Schwags, you're going to be out there, right? Mr. Philip Schwagler, because I've always got to say your name. You're going to be out there on Saturday at Ferg's, right?
I might make it for the end of the game, but I actually have to work. I think I work 9 to 6 that day.
Hey, man, you got to do what you got to do. We'll catch you next time. But of course, that's it. You got to feed people and you got to eat. You got to put food on the table, right? So, guys, join us on Saturday at noon at Ferg's on Central Avenue. James says, let's talk about the draft. What do you want to talk about? We'll talk about the draft.
Sure.
Somebody says Greedy is not good enough to take at 5. Somebody says just need to see improvement. I believe that's Keith. First, Bucs got to fix defense before fixing Winston. I don't really think Winston needs to be fixed that much. I just think he needs to be coached up, not really fixed. The defense needs to be fixed.
Absolutely.
Russ says Bucs anywhere from 7 to 9 and 9 and 7. If they go 5 and 11, do they finally dump Winston? I don't think they go 5 and 11.
I'm just saying, if is it Winston's fault if he, like the example, the Atlanta game, you go up the score to put your team to win the game, and your defense can't stop the team with a minute left in the game, and they go down this and finish the game off. Is that your quarterback's fault, or is that your inability to stop the other offense? I mean, you got to really look at the overall performance if you're just going to say cut somebody. And I think that word gets tossed around way too much here in Tampa Bay. You're talking about cutting everybody. We ain't that good to just be letting everybody go. I don't know where everybody's going at. And
because let's go back into the annals of history here. The Bucs are such a great organization when it comes to getting rid of quarterbacks. I mean, how about getting rid of Doug Williams and him going on and winning a Super Bowl? How about the greatness of getting rid of Steve Young and him turning into a Hall of Famer and winning a Super Bowl? How about Vinny Testaverde taking the Jets to the AFC Championship? How about Chris Chandler taking the Falcons to the Super Bowl, losing, but taking them to the Super Bowl after trading a number 1 pick with the Bucs, which they did that in history? Or how about getting rid of Trent Dilfer and him winning the Super Bowl in Raymond James? Really good idea, guys. Let's get rid of another quarterback here so he can go on and be successful. Or how about let's just coach him up because he's 25 years old and he's never had a coach that's truly believed in him, and now he does. Right?
Absolutely, Peter, bringing that passion.
I've got to, man. I've got to. Goodness gracious. Everybody looking to get rid of somebody. It's 5 and 11. It's doom and gloom. We need more Christine here and less negativity. What do you think of Jameis Winston? What's your opinion on him?
Yeah, in the beginning, I didn't really know what to make of him. The attitude, I'm just all about, you got where you got because you're talented. Now show up and show out and work hard. I do believe, though, that what you're saying about belief, if someone believes in you, you're capable of anything. Absolutely. And he just needed someone to believe in him. And it's just no different than parenting. I mean, you can equate belief to anything. And if someone believes in you, you can do anything. So I do believe that it's a coaching thing. You did just bring so much passion and so much, but those are all facts. Don't get rid of him. Just coach him up, believe in him, build him up, and then freaking protect him and let him do his thing.
Well, exactly, guys. He hit it right. Go ahead, Phil.
Oh, I was saying, protect the quarterback. I mean, he does thrive, when he's under pressure outside of the pocket, but you don't want him in that many situations like that because it's really just, a 50-50 chance of him making a play happen. But, like she was saying, protect the guy, give him a good team around him. I mean, looking back at Florida State, and I'm going to bring it up all day because we won our first game of the NCAA tournament today, so I'm feeling pretty good. But, he had an all-around good team. That's what I'm talking about, Pete. the defense was dominant. The offensive line was dominant. Defense. I mean, he had an incredible team at Florida State, and that's why he strives so much in winning games and winning big. I think that's what the Buccaneers really need to look at, is building a good team around not just a quarterback, but those key players on defense, those key players on offense.
Yeah, key players on offense, build the offensive line, build balance around him. You look at Florida State, what did he have at running back? He had Dalvin Cook. Did he not have Freeman also for one of those years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Devontae Freeman, Kenny Shaw, Chris Thompson. Sorry.
Right. Tell them about it. Educate them and tell the people in the back that are not listening, they had a running game. When Winston came into the league, they had Doug Martin, who rushed for over 1,000 yards. He put up some good numbers.
Yep.
And then ever since then, the running game has been non-existent. You have to limit those opportunities from Winston. You have to cut down on the passes. You can't ask him to throw 50 to 60 times a game. Any quarterback is going to turn over the ball eventually. If you throw the ball 50 to 60 times a game, you limit those opportunities to 30 to 35. You run the ball. You take the pressure off of him. You create that balance. You make the defense commit. And then you get those big plays down the field because the defense is committed to that balance.
Peter, I felt that in my chest right there. I had to lean back, but you're absolutely right. And like I said, like you can piggyback on what you're saying, and bringing all that is like continuity. You're talking about Florida State. That team was a team. They believed in each other, supported each other, and they still do. Beyond college now, they all support each other, and they all get contracts and everything. They communicate via Twitter, and they believe in each other, and they had so much continuity. And the only thing that's been consistent in Tampa Bay is inconsistency. And then we got to start bringing that here and hopefully it's the truth. I said we got to hopefully Bruce Arians can come here and bring his culture. And it seems like he is. He says the right things in meetings when you talk to him. He says, what kind of offense do you bring? He said, one that changes every week, because we can't have one game plan coming to a game. You got to adapt to what your opponent's weakness is. That's just so simple that we couldn't have coaches that could think that simple. It's the same thing in business. Christine will say it. He said, you got a product. He said, we're just going to keep putting out the product and never adapting regardless of what they want. No, you got to figure out a way to adjust to get those people to keep coming to your product. It's simple thinking like that. And we couldn't find coaches that could do that. They just want to inflict their own way. And then it's that or nothing. And they just want to keep changing it like it's everybody else. No, it's you that won't adapt.
Mm-hmm.
It's you, and that's why the coaches they're not employed anymore. They're not head coaches. You've got one coach that used to be a head coach. It's now the offensive coordinator of the Atlanta Falcons, who basically, when he was coaching Matt Ryan had some of his worst years. So good luck with that, Falcons. But in saying that, he changed the whole offense around, and it was more predicated on passing instead of balance, which is what you came in with when Winston came into the league. Somebody has a request here, Christine. Are you going to come out on Saturday at Ferg's on Central Avenue and be my co-host along with me and Blake?
Whoa, I already got my first co-host gig?
Why not? Anybody can get on the camera. Look, this is why we call this the evolution of sports talk television.
Right.
We get fans on. We get people in the know. You're a Giants fan to a certain degree. You're becoming a Bucs fan. I got to ask you this really quick before you give me the answer. I know you're still watching the Giants to a certain degree. Do you think they draft a quarterback in this draft coming up?
Yes.
You think it's Haskins?
I have. It's so.
Hard.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's so hard to know.
I don't see them picking Locke. I think New York's ready for somebody like Haskins.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And Steve, the reason why I say this is because everybody wants to talk draft. And look, if the Giants trade up to number 3 with the Jets, which I think is a certain possibility, if there's more teams that are interested in Haskins at this point, keep in mind only 1 year starting at Ohio State, 50 touchdowns. But the Giants passed up on Sam Darnold last year. Now, I got to get your comments on this. You both, all of you guys on the panel here. Stephen A. Smith, who I somewhat admire but has a big mouth, said that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on First Take should take Dwayne Haskins at number 5.
He said that. I saw that one.
Are you serious?
This is the same guy that goes on his show and doesn't know that players don't play on these specific teams anymore. I don't listen to the guy. It's really just annoying, to be honest with you.
However,
yeah, because he's checked out on Winston. They were checked, him, Shannon, and I don't care if they watch this, I'm going to quote it because they said it. All of them were checked out on Winston after the whole Uber incident. And I remember watching that. They were checked out on Winston since that, and they haven't believed in Winston since halfway through the season last year, week 6. So they've been checked out on Winston, but they're not here watching the grind, watching them out in the community. Like, I mean, the incident was 3 years ago, and that's why I kind of don't always get wrapped up in news media and articles and stuff like that till you educate yourself on the situation, because a lot of the stuff is public view for you to read and educate yourself before you make an opinion. With that being said, it was 3 years ago, but whatever it is, what it is, whatever happened, I wasn't there, so I really can't judge what happened. That's between them. But he's out in this community every day. He's the first one in the locker room and the last one out, and he puts in work day in and day out. And he's still a young man. I know everybody says with these millions of dollars, it still doesn't change. Like, these people they're young people. They don't know how to handle all that till you get older. So, I mean, they were checked. They were done with Winston at that point last year. So that doesn't surprise me. And only thing the Bucs can do is to shut everybody up, is to either put up or shut up.
You just got to win. I mean, you just got to do what Adrian said to Rocky and Rocky 2, one of the classic lines. Win. That's it. Just win. That's all you got to do. And if you win, people forget about the uniforms. People forget about the nonsense with Winston. People forget about all that other stuff. If you win, you have to win. And there's a lot of pressure this year. So, speaking of pressure, Christine, should I expect you on Saturday at Ferg's getting on the camera here and talking about some football?
Text me the details. How about that?
All right. Fair enough. All right. Well, what you're watching right now is Blake and Blake Sports, the Red Flag Podcast, the Sports Web. We're all joined up. We have special guest Christine Nugent.
Yep.
All right. There you go. So we're talking to Bucs Report. Let's go out to the text line here. 1 week, Winston looks great. Next week, he looks like a high school quarterback. Why is this? Well, I think it comes back to coaching. It also comes back to some mechanics possibly. I think honestly, to me, it's also belief. It's belief in coaching. If the coach believes in him and he knows that, then he's going to play better. But of course, he definitely has to improve on some things. We talked about it before in the past. Deep ball accuracy, possible mechanics, and just, again, having balance and having an offensive line. Because, look, quarterbacks mentally can get gun shy if they're under pressure all the time. And when you put a quarterback in that situation, when he's throwing the ball over 40 times a game and getting hit, he's going to get a little gun shy. So you have to get away from that. That's why you have to get a running game. Spence has a breakout season under this new defense. You guys think that or what?
Well, you already know I've been talking to Spence via IG, and he's ready to go. He's been ready. Like I said, his only obstacle is he's a little shorter with short arms. I think we talked about that in the last show. When you're being a defensive lineman, when you got a lineman who's got 33-inch arms and you only got 29 to 30, I mean, you can't get into his body. So I believe that Spence is going to come out with some moves and hopefully get his way back into good graces after being a high second-round pick 3 years ago.
What do you think?
I agree too. I think Noah Spence going to have a good year having him as a stand-up outside linebacker. I think that's where he's really going to strive, because he doesn't have that big body set that those defensive linemen have that can really eat up blocks or whatnot. So teach this guy some moves, some swim moves, some pull and drags, whatever you want. I mean, teach a guy some moves and just unleash him. Let him go. Jason Light believes in him. I haven't seen much to really believe in him, but, this could be the season that he really breaks out under this coaching staff that can develop players. And I'll say it again, develop players.
Exactly. And I think player development is the one thing that you didn't see with the previous coaching staff. I know we keep on harping on it. It's all about the players, but you have to put Spence in those situations where he can excel. Maybe he's not a 4-3 defensive end. Maybe he's a stand-up linebacker. Well, if anybody can do that and get the most out of him, it's Todd Bowles, this new defensive coordinator. So Corey says, how does Winston fix the turnovers? Again, that comes down to Bruce Arians and stealing. You don't always have to win, but also you have to take the pressure off of him with better offensive line play and also the running game. If you limit those opportunities where he can turn over the ball, then I think you're better off. Patrick, welcome to the special show here on Bucs Report. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Mr. Blake Cable, Philip Schwagler, and of course, special guest Christine Nugent. So there you go. All right. Look, Winston just needs to be coached better. He will be better from the game to game. Have faith, Buck fans. Come on, man. All right. Winston has the season to show what he can do. Do you think he's still around the following season with a new contract if he's mediocre? I don't think he's mediocre, Russ. I really don't. I think he's going to come out. I think he's going to have a comeback player of the year. And Russ, you're going to be the first guy that's going to come on here and say, Peter Blake, on Bucks Report, on the sports web, seen nightly, you are exactly right. I was wrong about Winston when he came back and played well. Totally agree, Peter. Great take, Peter. Winston is the first in the building and the last one out. Absolutely. Can Harold Godwin fix the offensive line? Guys, I think Harold Godwin is a great acquisition that nobody's talking about that can absolutely fix this offensive line. What do you think?
You want this one, Phil?
Yeah. I'll tell you, yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, look at his track record. He's had good offensive lines. He knows how to get the players into the positions that they need to be in to really strive and protect the quarterback or to make those huge gaps for the running backs to get through. I think the big thing this year is get Donovan Smith, Ali Marpet, Ryan Jensen, whoever's going to play right guard, and DeMar Dotson, get that whole unit as one and start opening up holes, opening up that run game. You're going to see a whole different Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. You're going to see a new Jameis Winston. I'm telling you right now, if this all works out like it should, and the running back and the run game works, and they have dynamic and explosive plays here and there, I mean, Jameis Winston's going to thrive in this Bruce Arians offense, and you could see them, possibly make a push for the postseason. But it all starts up front with those big guys, and Peter's got me all hyped up now.
Look at him.
That's what I do, man. That's what I do here on the sports web. Oh, there you go. Good stuff. I love it.
Christine did start it. She did start it. She was hyped at the beginning.
Yeah.
Always bringing the energy. Gotta bring 90% of life is just showing up. You gotta keep showing up, baby.
Absolutely.
That's it. You got to show up and you got to show out. And look, we say three things here on the sports web. Bring your passion, bring your excitement, just don't bring any nonsense. Let's go out to Bucks Report. Let's talk to these fans here.
Oh, we didn't hear it.
I love it.
What you guys got in the draft coming up? You guys got any predictions and stuff? I know I've been putting in tireless. I know I fell asleep last night on the computer looking up draft and video, especially I looked up 2014 video. You guys know how nerd I am with this stuff. I looked up 2014 video, watching behind Todd Bowles' defense and learning and looking at how we're gonna draft players according to how their schemes are. I mean, what do you guys got for the first couple picks, or what do you think? Because I'm sure you guys didn't go deep diving like I did, so you guys can
I tell you what, you know me, I'm a deep diver. I'm a football nerd, and I absolutely admit to it. Because football 24/7, 365 days of the year, including Christmas and whatever on Thanksgiving, of course. So my first pick is to the Arizona Cardinals. It's going to be Kyler Murray. The coach gets his guy. He wants his guy. Number 2, it's the San Francisco 49ers. They go with Nick Bosa out of Ohio State. Could be the best defensive end, even though he had some time with injury being out. He definitely looks like the real deal. Number 3, this is where the Giants trade up with the New York Jets and take Haskins. Again, 50 touchdowns, only 1 year starting, but Eli Manning is getting a little long in the tooth, if you will. And then this is a good thing for Bucs fans because these defensive players start to go down. The Oakland Raiders take Josh Allen after getting rid of game wrecker like Khalil Mack. You fill that with a player who had 17 sacks last year in SEC competition. He could also be the best outside linebacker, a presence that can get in the edge, has everything to offer. And at number 5, consequently, Jenna Lane was reporting this today, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have meetings with Quinnen Williams, not only with at the Combine, but also one of their 30th visits. Quinnen Williams at number 5 from the Alabama Crimson Tide. You get another building block. You pair him with Vita Vea. He's a dominating defensive tackle, 4'8" in the 40, 303 pounds, dominated at SEC competition, and already the comparisons are out there with Aaron Donald and Warren Sapp. If Williams is on the board, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers run to that podium and take Quinnen Williams from Alabama. How do you like that?
Run to that podium. I heard that.
Run to that podium.
Well, I think you bring up a good point when they talk about Quinnen Williams. See, now you made me feel better with the little research I did. We're currently at, because that's why I had to change my draft picks so much for the Buccaneers doing all this work. They keep saying Quinnen Williams and have that meeting with him because I really think, and I don't want to say it, but it's true. that they might just have to cut McCoy in order to have the money to sign the rookies. We're going to have a lot of picks. We have to sign the rookies. You need about $10 million, and we're only sitting around 1.8 or somewhere around right there right now. And we still haven't officially signed Wofford yet. The terms were agreed, but I don't think he's officially put pen to paper. And that's why I kind of had the Bucks trading down, acquiring more picks. If Williams wasn't on the board, if Williams is there, they kind of got to take that. I mean, they don't, depending on what the scheme is. But I'm going to let Bruce Arians and Jason Light do their jobs. What do you think, Phil, Christine?
I'll let Christine go first if she's got a couple guys that she's thinking about.
I don't know. This is all a little strategic. I just think that Kyler Murray is going to be the number 1 pick.
Yep.
And why do you think that?
He's just a really good quarterback. I just think he's solid. I think people just need to stick with their gift zones, and where your gift zone is, that's where you go. And that's why I think the Bucks have the potential this year, but I really do think Kyler Murray's going to be the number 1 draft pick.
Yeah, and I think, look, she's exactly right. His gift zones is he has 70 touchdowns, and the new coach there, his name escapes me at this point, he thinks he can create this offense around Kyler Murray. You know, the whole landscape of the NFL has definitely changed because there's quarterbacks out there that have those gift zones. And what we're talking about is the mobility. They can make those throws. You don't necessarily have to be in those prototypical offenses. You can be in the run pass option, which I believe they think they can do with Murray. Spread it out a little bit, spread concepts. Of course, the Cardinals got a long way to go. But always when a new coach comes in, he gets his guy. And I think this coach will get his guy in Murray.
Yeah, I agree. For me, I mean, it's pretty simple, I think, pretty straightforward what everyone's been thinking about since the combine and everything. Like everyone said, Kyler Murray's going to go number 1 overall to the Cardinals. I mean, they've already expressed interest in him. They've had a meeting with him. They're talking about him. So he's going number 1. And I got Nick Bosa going to the 49ers over there with John Lynch. Quan Alexander, that might be a really good defense if they can get, Nick Bosa to really play to his ability and what he's done in college. So 49ers might be a scary team next season defensively. We don't know yet. And then third for the Jets, I got Josh Allen going. I mean, I think that's a no-brainer too. They got to build up their defensive line also and really get, a pass rush specialist on their team. And I'm not doing any weird trades up in here yet. So I'm going Raiders. They're going to take Montez Sweat. Another edge player that they really do need in the Raiders, and especially what they've been doing in free agency and bringing in defensive players and whatnot. And then, popular demand right now, Quinnen Williams going to the Buccaneers at number 5. I mean, there's just too much buzz from everywhere. The Draft Network, you got Jenna Lane talking about it. Peter's talking about it on his show. Blake, everyone's bringing up Quinnen Williams. And I really think that's where the Buccaneers are honing in. If they don't trade back, that's their pick right there at number 5. And I think they'll be happy with that pick.
I agree.
Okay, but Blake, you said they trade down for Devin White, so go ahead and explain yourself. Who did the Bengals trade up for? Is it Haskins that we've been talking about? You think he's there at number 5?
Yeah. I just started thinking every year we always want that player that we want to fall down, but it never usually happens. So I just started thinking like that. I know there's always these what-if games all year, like what you guys said. That would be great, if Quinnen Williams fell down. But I always think about the what-if, and there's going to be a lot of phone calls at pick 5 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we can all agree that we have a lot of holes to fill, especially with this cap situation going on. And being this draft being so deep, you can acquire a lot of the pieces you get. If you play the cards right, you play the game right. And there was and what I said when watching tape, I said it's looking at guys that fit his system. So you need a guy that's familiar with standing up. You need defensive linemen. Bowles uses defensive, the 3 up front to basically clog gaps and create havoc. So you leave your man on the end to come free. Sweat fits that bill. He stands. I had to look at tape again to find out if he's familiar with standing or putting his hand in the dirt. He can do both. A guy that I'm really big on is Ja'Kai Polite. That boy can fly around the edge. Other than the other boy out of Kentucky. What was his name, Phil? It slips my name.
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen. He's the only other guy I know that can fly around that edge just fast as him. But if we get rid of McCoy, it's going to have to be some type of interior alignment either now or later. There are tons of interior. You basically need a 2-gap player in that system. You don't need a defensive tackle that's going to gonna get sacks and all. They need somebody that takes up space and crushes the pocket. That's why I think the Bucs could move down with the Bengals. And the reason I said the Bengals earlier was because you got a new head coach in Cincinnati. Dalton is due $16 million.
Right.
Bengals are in the driver's seat right now because they made a good contract deal when they re-signed out Dalton, because they have no dead cap if they decide to trade or get rid of him. So they're not hurting. They could trade or cut him or whatever they need to do and get their quarterback in Haskins or whoever's there at that point. And new coaches want their guys. You know what I mean? When you're trying to bring in your system.
Yeah. The only thing
Now, quick question.
Go ahead.
Sorry. No. So do we think there's going to be some kind of crazy like trade up to get a quarterback from a team that you didn't think would take a quarterback, kind of like the Browns did last season, or when they moved up to grab what's his name, Baker Mayfield, and then came back up into the, do you think there's going to be some kind of crazy trade within the top 5?
There's going to be some offers to the Buccaneers. If they could work out possibly a trade of a player and picks or something, because we have a lot of holes to fill. We still haven't really filled right guard, linebacker stand. I looked at the depth on this team. There's a lot of places that are really questionable. Or I'm talking about either C. If you had to grade it like or C or D in those positions, and that's inside linebacker. And I'm not just counting Levante David. Now think about injuries. If they go down, who's next up? Sitchy? You let Glanton's gone.
Right.
You
Taylor
got
went to the Browns.
Yeah. Yep. And then you got to think, now we're doing edge rushers now with 3-4, 4-3 hybrid. You don't have guys that are familiar with standing up and rushing, which is why the Giants moved on from Jason Pierre-Paul, because they went to a 3-4. He's used to putting his hand in the dirt. He's been doing it since he was here out in Tampa. Carl Nassib wasn't asked to stand and rush in Cleveland or here. Now you got to think about that stuff. Like, how do they transition into this new defense? Remember, I told you before, Bowles likes his defense. His 3 guys to create havoc, and your 4th or 5th guy, which is usually a linebacker blitzing, got to get around the edge and get the sacks or get heavy pressure. And that's the stuff I was thinking about. Like, there's a lot of things, there's a lot of questions to fill, and we don't really have a whole lot of guys that fit that hybrid build in this defense.
Sure. No, I definitely agree with that. There are definitely some holes in this defense, and there's definitely some needs. The thing that I would say about Giselle Polite would be the fact that not only did he show up to the biggest job interview out of shape, but also had some terrible interviews. I get it. His tape is unbelievable. And at his pro day, he may, lost that weight, get into better shape and take it more seriously. But I want a guy, and you can even comment about this, Christine. You go in for a job interview, you're prepared for that job interview. You're not going there unprepared, out of shape, not knowing what's going on. That's like me going to a radio station or TV station and not knowing any shows, and the guy asking me, well, what shows do you listen to? I don't know. I listen to the other radio station. Well, guess what? You ain't getting a job. So I don't understand that whole emphasis. This is your biggest job interview, the biggest opportunity that you have in your life. And basically because you couldn't take the time and the necessary effort to get yourself in shape and take these interviews seriously, you may have cost yourself millions of dollars because of it. That's a red flag for me. And that's why I would say that's why you stay at 5, because there could be a Josh Allen, there could be a Quinnen Williams, there could be a Montez Sweat. And I do think there's going to be a trade. It's going to be at 3, and I'll tell you why. Because if Haskins is on the board at number 4, crazy John Gruden and Mike Mayock, teams know they want to trade out of that pick, okay? And they could be playing a poker game where they take a quarterback. A team like the Miami Dolphins could trade up. I don't think it's the Denver Broncos, but maybe the Washington Redskins could trade up to that spot. That's why you have to get ahead of the Raiders, because you know that Gruden is going to try to trade out of that if there's not a player on the board to get even more draft capital, because they also have needs.
Who wants this one? You want this one, Kristen?
No, I'm good.
With Gruden and Mayock, there's no telling what's going to go on in that camp. Mayock specifically for the draft purpose and his knowledge in the draft and everything. I already know what that move was all about, because he is under the most pressure with these first round picks, because you let the best pass rusher, or one of the best pass rushers in the league, go on out there to Chicago, and then you let Amari Cooper go to the Cowboys. So you kind of got to fill these positions, and I don't know if they pass on the defensive end. They've got to have a pass rush. You get rid of this one of the top 3 best pass rushers, and then yet your same season, you're one of the worst pass rushers teams in the league.
It was a disaster. It looks bad, especially if Gruden doesn't fill those needs. And I think they're going to they're going to do it at 4, or they're going to trade down and get more draft capital. But let's go out to Bucks Report. Let's read some more text messages here with our fans. And of course, you're live here on Bucks Report. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Mr. Blake Cable, Mr. Philip Schwagler, the chef in the house, and of course, our special host, Christine Nugent here on the sports web, Blake Sports, Blake&Blake Sports, the Red Flag Podcast. It's all here. It's all on the table, right, Swigs? There you go. Hardy Nickerson was my first ever football jersey I owned in 2000. I've been a Bucks fan from New Jersey ever since. Big-time free agency signing kind of shifted a lot of the focus, right, Hardy Nickerson?
I wore his number in high school first because I loved Hardy Nickerson, so I definitely put him on that. Yep.
Yeah. With a better offensive line, Winston will be a better quarterback. He just needs a little more time than he did last year to get the ball down the field. Agree. Corey Brown, Dirk Cutter fixed Falcons offense, make look like trash. Does Eli start for the Giants next year? I believe he does start for the Giants next year until that quarterback is developed, although they may go into it and start the rookie right away. I doubt it, because Haskins, in a situation where he's only started 1 year, even though he had 50 touchdowns, the NFL is a different business. So I think they'll do it the same way they did in the past. They had Kurt Warner as a stopgap quarterback. Eventually they started Eli. That's how they'll do it again, I believe. Giants draft Greer possibly. Nice. Okay, I'm listening to everyone but the guy in the FSU hat, the U life.
Yeah, they ain't feeling that hat, Phil.
Right. Well, no, I'm going to tell you right now. Here's about the U right here. That's what I think about the U. Somebody says he's annoying. Jeremiah says the only reason you won a Super Bowl was because Gruden left the Raiders and the coach is up. No, there were more reasons than that, Jeremiah. It wasn't just Gruden knowing the Raiders offense. It was the free agency acquisitions and offense. It was the coaching style and the attitude at the right time. That window was about to close on that team because there were so many years of inept offenses. You had a top-notch defense. Everything came together. It was a perfect storm. And then afterwards, it was a complete disaster because the players were too old. They were salary cap strapped. There were a lot of factors. We won't get into that again. But
I do have a question, though, for Christine.
Sure.
It's not bad. I was thinking about the draft and Dexter Lawrence. He's still, teams are still iffy about him. He could possibly fall to the second round. If you guys are familiar with him, the big 6'5", 346 lineman, and his was for supplements and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to ask Christine. Like I said, I know you're very familiar with all that stuff, and with some of the players getting onto that. Like from what you know from them talking to you, like how cautious are they about taking some of that stuff? Like, do they really do a whole lot of research, or do they rely on you guys basically for the information to put out?
Yeah, great question. So part of all of our peak performance testing in athletes is actually done at ASPI, which is the Advanced Science Performance Institute, or Applied Science Performance Institute here in Tampa, which is actually where a lot of the combine athletes train. Jameis was there the other day. We were in there training. So we do all of our scientific peak performance testing there. We do resting metabolic assessments with these guys, and we do it pre and post ketone supplementation. So you and I and everybody that's watching right now have ketones in our body. It's just a naturally occurring energy source, fuel source in our body. They're just not at high levels. So it was not hard for us to get this passed, and we do actually have a good bit of NFL players drinking the drink, and they are thriving. Their performance levels are up, and their recovery times have shortened drastically. Ketones have a huge anti-inflammatory aspect to them. So as far as recovery and muscle preservation is concerned, it's phenomenal. But we did not have a hard time, to answer your question, getting the approval with the NFL. There's no performance-enhancing substances in here. There's no anti-doping agency. Tons of professional athletes are drinking. Super encouraging.
Cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And don't let Dabo Sweeney fool you, because Sweeney was saying, oh, well, it may have been us. We may have given it to all our players. Unfortunately, as everybody found out, there was only 2 players that actually took the supplement. They knew exactly what they were taking. I'm absolutely amazed at how you hire people with the Clemson and they can't, figure it out. So Dexter Lawrence will definitely be late first round, second round pick. He's a monster. I like him in your mock draft. I think he would definitely fit Blake
because he replaces Calais Campbell. If you remember, he likes those big guys.
Right.
That's why I started thinking about that.
Right. That makes sense. Okay. Joey says, I think it's because they don't let Winston play Winston football. They're holding him back. Can't run the ball 12 times a game. Balance. Agree. Eli starts this year, next year. Big year for OJ. Richard says, big problem too with our team was we were always playing from behind and had to abandon the run. Our defense couldn't stop a Pee-wee team, let alone Pee-wee's Playhouse. Absolutely not. They couldn't stop anybody at all. And I had to. And when people sit there and say, well, it's the offense, it's the quarterback. No, you can't stop anybody. Your quarterback can throw for 400 yards, but if your team can't stop anybody,
it doesn't matter.
It really doesn't. I get passionate about this. So, okay. Jameis Winston will win MVP 2019. Corey says Eli plays 3 more years, maybe. I don't know about 3 more years, maybe 1 with that offensive line.
No.
And no wide receivers to throw to besides Golden Tate and Shepard. Good luck with that. Did you see that hitting baseball video of Howard going yard? I didn't. I love how every answer is, well, we got a new coach. In order for us to win, we have to get some talent around us, O-line and defense. Winston is not the point, I guess he's saying. This draft is going to be big because we haven't gotten any better. Agree with that, boys? Have the Bucs not gotten any better? Or is it the fact that they've added players to 1-year contracts that a lot of fans don't know about being big names, but they're going to make major contributions to this team going forward? Names like Barrett, names like Buchanan, guys like that, right?
I agree.
Yeah, definitely. I think they're going after guys that are hungry to play and prove, they're worth another contract. They're worth, a team's time to bring them onto the roster. And, Joe Bucks fan had this, I guess they were listening to Jake Arians, Bruce Arians' son, on his podcast. He basically, he was asked, who was the biggest loser in free agency so far? And he named, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, his dad's team. He basically quoted, people go pay attention to the cap, basically talking about Buccaneers fans, how they're complaining about, why aren't we signing these guys? Because they're broke. They have no money. They can't sign these guys. He says, because you got mad about your team not doing a whole lot. But I was talking to my dad. I said, talking about Bruce Arians, what do you think? He said, I'm bored. Like, I like where we're at. We got to add a couple of pieces, but we don't have enough. These guys are making so much money the last couple of years of free agency. You got to go overpay. So unless you have a crazy amount of cash, which means your team sucks, it's hard to go and do it. So basically he's saying, they don't have the money, but he believes in the players that he has, and he believes in his ability to coach these players up. So that's my whole take on, the Bucs free agency and what they haven't done.
Look, I rather win in the regular season and eventually lead to the postseason than the offseason. You can have your New York Jets, you can have your Detroit Lions, you can have all those teams every year that are spending money and then are a disaster during the season because A, the chemistry doesn't work out, or B, you overpaid for a player, and then the next year you're basically in salary cap hell. Let's try to, look at this from another perspective of what the Buccaneers are doing. They're kind of doing it the New England Patriot way. And I know the Patriots and their fans aren't shivering in their boots right now because they lost Trey Flowers or they lost Trent Brown. You know what they're thinking? Oh, well, next man up. We'll draft a guy in the second, third round. Nobody will know about him. He'll come in and start and be just as productive or more productive than the players we lost in free agency. That is the mindset that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as an organization have to have, and I think they're getting back to it.
Boom.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so there you go. I like that. I like when nobody talks. That's good. All right, I'm ready for the season to start. Let's go. James says Devin White. Matthew says Josh Allen. Bucks report, I believe that's Keith Larson, says trade the pick. Corey says Gerald McCoy needs to be cut, play too soft and slow. Richard says, I like the Buck and Blake said we'll draft the running back Henderson from Memphis in the 5th round. Yeah, I remember a couple years ago that running back took over the game and demolished Josh Rosen and UCLA. Go ahead and comment on that a little bit about your mock draft and Mr. Henderson coming out of Memphis. What does he bring to the table?
I'm gonna put you on the spot. Who was the last good running back out of Memphis?
Oh, well, that would be the running back that played for Carolina.
Yep, D'Angelo Williams. Yep,
D'Angelo Williams, who also played for the Steelers, and he was a good running back. Had a pretty good career overall. I think is he still playing, because he was playing for the Steelers there for a little bit.
He might be playing Madden, but I'm not sure if he's playing.
He might play Madden. Well, he's good at Madden. That's the next. Are you any good at Madden? Look, are any of you good at Madden? You want to take me on? Let's go. Let's play some Madden.
Christine can beat you, Peter. Henderson is that boy can move. I think the first 40, if you ever ran a 40, you usually run slow your first time, and your second 40 usually run faster. If anybody's ever ran 40s before here, I'm not sure, Phil, if you ever played or anything like that. But he ran a 4.
I used to watch it, okay. Yeah, I was in the military.
Oh yeah, that's right. You went in the military. I'm sorry, sir. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Yep.
Phil.
Yep. Jeff in military. He's the real MVP. He ran a 4.5, a sub 4.5 the first time, and then he blazed it out with a 4.3 the second time, and then they just average it out. So they put him at a 4.4, but his 0 to 100 is ridiculous. If you ever watch his tape, and the part I'm talking about is, like, we don't have any backs on our roster that beat people in one-on-one and pass coverage and stuff like that. And that's the part where Cutter didn't use either. Yeah, 5 people that go out for a pass, which means every receiver is responsible for 20% of the play. And if you don't throw to your backs, you're cheating your quarterback out of a check down, and you're cheating yourself out of helping your quarterback have a check down and hopefully beating the guy in one-on-one matchups on your back too. But Henderson, boy, that boy can move. I know we drafted Jones. Jones is going to have to show a lot, and I didn't see much out of the catching department out of him either last year, let alone understanding what the playbook and blocking schemes were.
Couldn't catch a cold. All right, let's just put it out there. He couldn't catch a cold. He couldn't pass protect, but he's going to get another opportunity. And I think the exciting thing is when Bruce Arians says in this press conference, I'm going to have a whole nother set of coaches coach these other guys on the sideline because they're not getting that one-on-one attention. Right. Hello, that's amazing. That's a great concept. That's what coaching is all about. One-on-one time. Yes, it's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Okay, best signing Bucks had was Todd Bowles. Bucks will draft cornerback Burke and Williams from LSU. If the Bucks are broke, then why not trade the 5th pick for more picks in later rounds? That's certainly a possibility. But again,
you have the money to sign your rookies. They're forgetting that part.
So that's where it gets. You have to get creative. Either you restructure Evans or Marpet, or you cut McCoy, or you restructure with him. And look, again, I've said this a couple months ago with Quinnen Williams. If the Bucks end up with Williams, then most likely, why would they need Gerald McCoy? I get it, you as a fan favorite, but he's a guy that is on the decline of his career. He's making $13 million. That cap figure is not going anywhere because it's going to be $12 million next year. And if you got Williams, another building block that you compare with Vay in this 3-4-4-3 hybrid defense, why would you need McCoy? It doesn't make any sense to me. Kingsbury's the name, absolutely. Raiders, Montez Sweat, certainly a possibility. Oakland Raiders will trade Derek Carr to Bengals or Panthers. I think Corey's trolling again. Please no Giselle Polite. Bucks will not trade the 5th pick away, Matthew says. Card should trade for Carr. Oklahoma quarterback to the Raiders. I don't know if that's going to happen because it seems like Derek Carr is already developing a relationship with Mr. Big Chest. So that's why Mr. Big Chest got traded there. We'll see how that goes. Bucks will draft a kicker in the 1st round. No, they won't.
Must be
need the badass linebacker. That's James again saying about Devin White. We'll talk about him in a little bit. Trade JPP for a pick, then draft a guy that fits the 3-4. They're not trading JPP, right, guys? Even though that whole nonsense of JPP getting traded from the Giants because the defensive coordinator didn't feel like he fit the 3-4, he's going to fit this defense, right, guys?
Yeah, I'll take this real quick, and then I got to get out of here. I got a few things to do tonight, but JPP, he's a playmaker. He's one of the biggest playmakers that the Buccaneers had last season. I mean, the guy broke the sack record but the sack curse that the Buccaneers have had ever. So getting rid of JPP, a piece that you already know that can play at a high level, that can play well, it makes no sense to me. So, but hey, I appreciate you guys having me on. Maybe Red Flag podcast tomorrow night. We'll let you all know. But thank you guys so much.
No
Hey,
problem, Phil.
Swags, you better cook me something here pretty soon.
I don't think I can cook enough food for you, Peter. I've seen you eat.
Oh man, I can eat it. I can put it away, buddy, but it doesn't show. As long as it doesn't show, I got to get on that keto diet with Christine.
Yes.
That's what I got to get on right
I
there.
got mine already.
Hey.
All right, Swags. See you later, bud. All right, so there you go. Let's see. Bucks will draft Josh Allen or Quinnen Williams. Dick Butkus award was Devin White. Somebody says sign Uncle Rico. That's funny. That's one of the worst videos I've ever seen. If you guys know Napoleon Dynamite, you'll like that line. Trade JPP. Are you crazy? No way. That's not going to happen. Will Greer could draft to Redskins. So I don't know about that. We'll see. They just said he doesn't fit the 3-4. No, Russ, what we said was that the Giants defensive coordinator at the time didn't think JPP fit. Remember what this coaching staff has said when they came in. They're going to make these players fit. So we'll see what happens on that front. I think they will do that. Greer won't beat out Case Keenum. Packers 4-12. Haha. No more weapons for Aaron Rodgers. Hey guys, Baylor 38-37 over Syracuse at the half. A little March Madness action. Don't know if you guys watch basketball. Russ says Eli Manning is not washed up. Good quarterback. Giants should fix their team and not blame Eli. Gruden inherited Dungy's team and won. Come on, stop with that. Stephen A is annoying. Should have been more clear. Packers should trade Aaron Rodgers. Corey once again trolling. And did you get time to go over your teams and get your bracket filled out, Peter? No, I did not. And you know why? I'm 100% every year on my bracket. Do you know why, Michael? Because I don't do a bracket, but I was rooting for Florida State today as they had some difficulty with Vermont, but they go on to win. No big-time upsets besides Murray State over Marquette. Somebody says just drink a beer. Giants will draft DK Metcalf. Somebody says relax, and then we'll get to the other Texas. So what do you think of that? Are you watching March Madness action there, Mr. Blake Cable and Christine?
No, my cousin's huge into it, so I just follow whatever he's got going on there. I'm not huge into it, but I know a lot of people like to do brackets. And some people are good at it. Most people that win those brackets are people who really study or people who have no loyalty to any team, and they just pick who they think they're going to win, which is usually fun for somebody who doesn't really follow. But
or somebody that just picks lucky picks, and it just picks the color of the jersey. I've seen it happen before. Sit there and do, this and that and the other thing and all the research, and somebody just picks, I like this color and I like this team and I got a feeling. Well, the feeling could be gas. That's what it could be. It could be because you weren't on the keto diet. That's what
right.
you got in your stomach right now.
Dude, these
Yep. Or the other one, or they pick what mascot will win in a fight.
Yep.
Yes, exactly. There you
That
go.
too.
All right. Russ says Bucks need George Rogers type of back, big and fast. What do you think about Holyfield coming from Georgia? What are your thoughts on him? Holyfield had a terrible combine, to say the least. One of the slowest times, 4.8, 4.9 in the 40, of course. His father being Evander Holyfield, and now reports today from Jenna Lane of ESPN, who does a hell of a job, as always, saying, I used to do radio with her, believe it or not.
She does good work.
In a galaxy far, far away on 1010 AM WQYK when they had a sports station. Anyway, what do you think of Holyfield's prospects of being a running back in the NFL and possibly for the Bucks?
Well, Christine's familiar with the Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah, go Dogs. Yes, I'm not. I mean, I don't follow college as much as I used to and as much as I should, but we are Bulldog fans, and my husband did play football there, so we are proud of that.
Okay.
But like I said, I'm not as well versed. I'm surrounded by Alabama, Gator, and Georgia fans, and sometimes those fans can be a little bit much during season for me. I'm not gonna lie. So no, I just stick to my NFL.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. And you're absolutely right. There are the Roll Tide fans and, of course, the Gator honks down here that love the Florida Gators, which is why there is so much hate for Jameis Winston, the quarterback, being a Florida State Seminole.
Man, that don't matter to me once you go to pros. That was all cute and stuff.
Exactly. They're all
now.
the same team. Who cares what college they played for?
That's right.
Jeremiah says, we are awesome. I appreciate it. Corey says, why Bucks need Golston? He could be cut. That's certainly a possibility. I really like Holyfield. I'm no NFL Live analyst, but he just might be a good fit. Blake, what do you think about Holyfield?
Only thing about Holyfield, he's stiff in the hips. He's
Okay.
he's not a real patient runner. He is a bruiser. Best comparison for me, and I think you'll agree with this. He runs like Mark Ingram. That's how he runs. He's really stiff when he runs. He doesn't really have a jump cut, which he could develop one for a guy that moves like him. But if you're looking for a guy first and second down to pound the ball, get you 4 or 5 in a cloud of dust. I mean, you can work like that. He's going to go in the later rounds. It's the 40 is going to kill him. He doesn't have the speed to leave defenders. He doesn't offer much in catching ability. And when you break it down all like that, I mean, that's why he's going to be a later pick.
You don't seem like you're too high on Mr. Holyfield. I want to know what
he's got potential. It's just you got to put somebody in a successful system. I'm not shooting anybody down. Anybody could do well. Well, most people who put in the work and the effort and the studying, let me say that, can do well in the league, because athletic ability, even in business, doesn't get you by. It's you putting in the extra effort that everybody else is not doing, that sets yourself away from everybody else. And that's why the people we love and people we get attracted to, is you see what the work that they're putting in and giving back and doing all that type of stuff. But he can succeed. I say you get to the pros, you get with somebody, get with a professional trainer, some other players, it could possibly change. It's anybody in the league. You just put them in a winning system.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You got to definitely do that. So we shall see. I think the Bucks are more doing their due diligence, but they may think Holyfield and, of course, Miles Sanders, which was mentioned this week. They had a private meeting with him at his combine day. What about Benny Snell Jr.? You know, these running backs are more physical than fast. Snell was a big time story for Kentucky. Definitely led them to a winning season along with Josh Allen. I think he's more of a later round and could be a possibility for the Bucks. You haven't heard any connection. That doesn't necessarily mean it won't happen. It just depends on what's on their board and what's a big time need at this point. Matt says Corey's drinking some Kool-Aid at this point. Somebody says, awesome Knowles fan. Looking at other mock drafts, why is Ed Oliver projected in the middle of the first? Why not a top 10? Is that someone Bucks can get if they trade back? Good text as always, Richard. They can. The reason why he's being mocked so low is because of the size, 6'1", 6'2", 286. But if you turn on the tape, once again, another dominating defensive tackle, can also play defensive end. He's got that great first step. He definitely can dominate a game. I don't care what conference he's in, an AAC, ACC, SEC, Big Ten, whatever it is, the WAC, whatever conference it is, the guy dominates. He should definitely be in that top 10 conversation. And look, if the Buccaneers decide to trade down, he's definitely on my radar as a player the Bucs may take.
Absolutely.
All right. Somebody says talk football. We are talking football. It is the Sports Web, Blake and Blake Sports, with yours truly, Peter Blake, along with Blake Cable, and of course, Christine Nugent here talking about the keto diet, as we'll keep on talking with you guys on Bucks Report. I don't do a bracket either because I don't watch college basketball. Bunny Cream Sickles. Corey says bye. Go Gators. Somebody is a Gator fan. That's okay. Or if sweat drops. Good question by Russ. Brent Grimes and his wife find a new team yet? Did they find a new team yet? I don't think so. Does any NFL team really want a distraction like Miko Grimes and Brent Grimes on their team or in their community for that matter?
I'm not going to talk trash because we already knew what they were all about, and we still picked them up. So we're really not in any type of position to talk trash about any of that because we still did it regardless. So it's a possibility. I don't think he gets picked up till after the draft, where somebody doesn't pick up a corner or doesn't get somebody they need. But I think he'll find employment somewhere. But he won't get paid what he think he's going to get paid.
And if I'm a general manager and I pay him what Jason Light paid him last year, I should be fired, because this guy clearly showed that he does not have any heart anymore to play in the NFL with his comments about Antonio Brown not being paid more money. And then on top of it, Father Time has basically kicked his ass. He was not, he was a shell of himself. He was trying to avoid tackles. He's lost a step. I think NFL teams and general managers may take a look at him, but it's for the league minimum. If he's going to get the league minimum, most likely he will retire. Him and Miko can do podcasts together and maybe do a reality show here on VH1, something along those lines. Rays re-signed Blake down to a 6-year contract extension, $50 million. I know you're a baseball guy. We could talk about that, but want to stay on football. Devin Uzgabu from Nebraska is a stud. I'm not familiar with him, but we'll do some research. We'll talk about him. Second-round picks, Bucks will pick Damian Harris from Alabama. Do you like Damian Harris from Alabama in second, third round?
Damian Harris reminds me a lot of the old Giants running back. Oh, it slips my mind. He won the Super Bowl with him. He scored and tried to stop on the one and fell in. It slips my mind. But he reminds me a lot of him, the way he runs. He's a decent back. He can catch passes. He was very versatile in the Alabama offense. Much like Georgia, Alabama is a two-back system.
Sure.
So you can ask him to be a lead back, so we're not sure when you put that on somebody's plate. But to pick a running back at 2, I don't know, not that high. We got a little more pressing needs to fill than running back. We already have 5 on the roster right now. So if you're going to pick somebody up, it's got to be definitely not somebody that's going to work in this system.
Sure. And Michael says, thanks for giving us Jackson back. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Hopefully he gets out of control when Carson Wentz is also inaccurate and he decides to throw a hissy fit, because I'll tell you right now, Deshaun Jackson, when he was in that Buccaneer locker room, was nothing but a cancer. He was more of a cancer, a terrible signing by Jason Light in free agency. I tell you right now, with the money he was getting paid, the production definitely did not match the salary, if you will. Jeremiah,
I don't know if you saw that, Peter. He would throw the helmets after a drive on the sideline. Yeah. It's just unacceptable. Yeah. I'm not going to say as an athlete, as an adult. That is just unacceptable. Kristen, I see you shaking your head. You want to lay in on this? Go right ahead.
Hey,
go for it.
I got babies around here. My babies will never throw a freaking helmet ever. So someone didn't beat him hard enough when he was little, I guess.
I don't know, but the guy's getting paid a lot of money, and then people are saying, well, he's going to be a leader. He's going to be a leader of what? A leader of malcontents? That's what he's – right, exactly.
Violence and all that.
Antonio Brown kind of set the precedent for the youth, that you abandon your teammates, you act like a rear end, and you get a pay raise. So what kind of example did you just set for the league and everybody else? And Le'Veon Bell too. I said, you come in 20 pounds overweight and you get a pay raise.
Yes.
That's going to blow up in the Jets' face if this boy does not pan out, and I'm going to be laughing too.
He needs to stay out of Taco Bell, get on that keto diet with Christine. That's
I'm telling you what.
Yeah. So what's his number?
Hey, speaking of that, I'm going to hop off because I do have little kids that are going to come in my bed at 6 a.m. and I'm going to start, so. I can't wait to be on again with you guys. It's a pleasure.
Yes. Come out on Saturday at Ferg's and join us for our AAF watch party between the Orlando Apollos and the Atlanta Legends on Central Avenue in St. Pete. All right.
All right. I'll get the details.
All right. Sounds good.
Thanks, guys.
Good having you here.
You too.
Yeah.
All right. So there you go. Now, and now there was 2, and it's going to be Blake&Blake Sports here. Of course, I'm here with Peter Blake along with Mr. Blake Cable. We'll answer some more of these questions, and then we will get off. But a great show, as always, here on Bucks Report, as we always do here. We try to give it to you every night. Bucks should bring back Vincent Jackson, Corey says. Boy, Corey is in troll mode tonight. Vincent Jackson. How old is Vincent Jackson? Is he 100? Good guy, but what is he, 65 now? You want to bring Vincent Jackson back?
He's doing enough great things in the community, building homes in the community.
Yeah. He can't stay healthy. He can't stay healthy, and Father Time has definitely hurt him. Corey is trolling. Matthew says, Corey, you're killing me. Damn Smalls, you're killing me. That is a great line from The Sandlot. I like that movie. Good job. Hi, KC. Blake, I think the running back from the Giants was Bradshaw. Was that Ahmad?
Bradshaw. Yep.
Somebody says, Sajid says, do you guys answer questions? Of course we answer questions. That's why we call it Sports Talk Television. We answer your questions. No studio, no station needed. It's the Sports Web along with Blake and Blake Sports, Buck and Blake Sports, whatever it is. We got two Blakes here. Peter Blake along with Blake Cable here live on Bucks Report. We're taking more questions here, and then we will definitely get off. Jackson with Philly was fire. What type of offense does Leftwich run? It's going to be the Bruce Arians offense. It's not going to be as predicated on going deep all the time. I think it's going to be some short passing attack, but they're definitely going to incorporate some of the weapons that are in this offense. You would agree with that, right?
Absolutely. You going to work with what you got.
That's it. Dan Jennings, running back, Giants talking about Blake Anthony, Giants Super Bowl running back. I don't know what Corey's talking about. What do you guys think about the future of Cameron Brate? They haven't cut him yet, but he's definitely $7 million towards that cap. So you have to watch out. He could be one of those cuts, but I do think Arians and this offensive staff are looking at the possibilities of using two tight ends, although they don't do a lot of that. And because Brate is only a pass catcher and not a blocker, then he becomes limited. But I still think Arians will find a way unless they do decide to cut him. I'm just saying, y'all, you were thinking, Jackson, when you played us. That's true. He played well versus the Eagles, but that was the second game of the year. After that, he was not good. Should the Bucs look at Marquise Brown from Oklahoma? Is that the Marquise Brown? What do you know about Marquise Brown here, Blake?
Who, Hollywood Brown?
Yeah, from Oklahoma.
Antonio Brown's cousin. Don't know if you knew that. No, he is.
I believe he is the wide receiver. I think he's definitely somebody they will look at, but it'll be in the later rounds, not in the first.
If you go in the first,
he's
going to go in the first round.
Marquise Brown? Yeah,
that boy's got wheels.
I thought he was second or third because of the injury situation.
You'd be surprised what people will do for speed like that. Who you think Kyler Murray was throwing to? Those were all Hollywood Brown. Them deep balls?
Yeah.
Hollywood Brown.
Sure.
Marquise Brown, yep.
Okay. All right. Blake and Blake Sports. Like it, guys. If you bring back VJax, bring back Work Done. Here for that. What do you think about the Giants double whammy with Odell traded and lost $13 million? They actually lost $16 million out of that deal. But look, what they got in the deal, it's definitely not going to be good enough. But this organization felt like they wanted to move on from Odell after signing him to an extension. They did not believe he was the face of the franchise. They believed Saquon Barkley was. So they tried to get as much as they could get in return. I think if they would have held out, they most likely would have got more picks. But $16 million and to get rid of a top wide receiver. And you have Eli Manning, behind that offensive line that was atrocious and hopefully an improved with the Browns trade of Kevin Zeitler. Right now, the Giants are going in a different direction. The Browns are trying to be a playoff team. The Giants are basically trying to rebuild, and it's going to be an ugly rebuild at this point. Let's see here. The Bucs draft D in the first. Should we draft DB or safety in the second round? We do need help on the D. Agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. I was thinking Nasir Adderley out of Delaware as a player that they could possibly get in the second round. Very, very versatile. Could play DB or safety deep. He has some wheels on him and pretty good hands, too, to catch a lot of interceptions. But his tackling is so-so. That can be coached up. But, yeah,
sure.
That's definitely you can get some versatility. And that's the whole thing I looked at in mock draft is versatility in this defense. We need players that fit, a certain type of mold we're trying to do here. There's a lot of guys out here. We just have to get the right guys, and if it's at the right time in the draft, then go for it. I'm really interested to see what BA and Light's going to do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you know what? You could either go safety or cornerback with the kid out of Kentucky, who I believe is a local kid out of Tampa. Or you could go with Dalton Reisner, a guard / right tackle. You have to get a replacement for DeMar Dotson. He's not getting any younger at this point, so he may be somebody that you would think about in the second round, or go with defensive line if you like. Let's see here. Favorite Bucs player of all time for both of you all. Speed, I would definitely say it would have to be, because the guy made a commercial about it and it was so entertaining. Who's my favorite player? Mr. Derrick Brooks. Go ahead, Blake.
Yep, I remember that song and that commercial. He said,
"Yeah."
He said, "How many Pro Bowls?"
Yeah. How many Pro Bowls, Blake?
Was it 11?
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was it that much?
Yeah.
I mean, him, Alstott, Warwick Dunn. I mean, even Sapp, his gameplay on the field, just unbelievable. Just took over games. Somebody says, "Go Raiders, go." That is the Raider fan here, Mr. Daryl Floyd. Thanks a lot for tuning in to Blake and Blake Sports on this special March Madness edition on Thursday night. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about along with Mr. Blake Cable, which will be live at noon at Ferg's on Central Avenue in St. Pete with Blake and Blake Sports, and then also your AAF pregame, halftime, and also postgame shows as the Apollos try to go 6-1 versus the Atlanta Legends live at Ferg's on Central Avenue, 1320 Central Avenue in St. Pete. Whether you want to watch the Apollos, the Rays, the Lightning as they won again tonight, or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, get out there. Great atmosphere, great wings, great service. It's Ferg's. They've been around since 1992. And tell them the Sports Web sent you. All right? So there you go. I honestly feel if he wants to stay healthy with Ertz, Jeffrey, Jackson, Aggie, we just need a reliable running back one, and that's a dangerous offense. No, I agree, and it comes down to Wentz being healthy also. He has to be healthy. Somebody says Selman and Sapp for me. Debo Samuel has Wills, wide receiver from South Carolina. Bucks should look at him as a punt returner. They were definitely talking with him, having some interviews. He could be a second or third round pick. Knowing light, we won't get neither safety or corner till the fourth round. Why are people keep comparing Montez Sweat's heart condition to Gaines Adams? Adams didn't know he had a heart disease until his autopsy. People with mild heart conditions can live normal lives when today's medicine. Hope that's not a factor in his drop process. I'm going to tell you something. Look, if Sweat was cleared for SEC play and he played at top competition with being consistent and not having any health problems, then there should be no medical red flags unless the medical evals of the Bucs or other teams in the NFL says otherwise, right?
I agree. Let the professionals do their job.
There you go. Red Flag Podcast, Mr. Philip Schwegler, the chef, who should be catering some of these watch parties, my friend. The wings are good, but you're a chef. You're a world-class chef, so you should be making us some food here. We got to work on this, Schwegs. This is Lights last year to do something, in my opinion. Thoughts on Jalen Ferguson? Mike brings up a good point. Jalen Ferguson, he wasn't at the combine because he's definitely had some legal trouble, but from everything I hear about his pro day was amazing. He had amazing statistics. He's somebody that I'm going to definitely take a look at either tonight or on Blake and Blake Sports. What do you know about this kid Ferguson?
Well, you know, I already know. I don't know. I don't know. I said, I don't know if it was because of legal issues or was it because he wasn't invited. Long story short, he wasn't at the combine.
No, it was legal issues. He had some legal issues from a couple of years back. Him and the bad news Bears gang, him and Jeffrey Simmons, and there's another kid there too also, but both of those guys were in legal trouble. Yeah. So
he finished the season, I believe, with like 17 sacks that season and finished up his career with the same number of his jersey, 45. I mean, that's pretty astronomical. Probably a guy that probably could have played at a bigger school. Probably because he probably got in trouble or his grades wasn't good enough, which probably landed him at Louisiana State. But yeah, it's definitely a kid that can set the edge and make moves. And he didn't go to the camp, so I can't say he had a good camp. But yeah, he might go in the first round. It all depends on who thinks they can tweak him. He might fall to second. We might be able to get him, and he's another player that can stand or put his hand in the dirt too. So there's a lot of versatile players in this draft. I know a lot of guys, like I said, I saw comments in there about Ja'Kai Polite. But, man, I'm just trying to tell you, he can bend that corner.
And that's one thing Sweat can't necessarily do. He doesn't have that bend in all his tape that you hear. He doesn't have that bend that you would like because he is such a tall player. And you mentioned this on Blake and Blake Sports a couple weeks ago. He uses his athleticism sometimes too much. And when you do that in the NFL, you can't necessarily get away with it. You can get away with it in the SEC to a certain degree because not everybody is as good as you on the other side. But in the NFL, everybody is as good as you or better.
And you're talking about the NFC South now against the Saints, the Panthers, and the Saints, Panthers, and the Falcons.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Speaking of offensive linemen, how do you guys feel about left tackle D. Smith? I think, look, if you're going to make the point about Jameis Winston getting coached up in this defense overall, you can make the same opinion about Donovan Smith being coached up by Harold Godwin. He's going to improve. He's 25 years old. You have this mold of clay of potential. He's got to get more consistent. He's got to have more effort. Sometimes he doesn't have the effort. You turn on the tape with him. You look at his pass blocking skills. He's really good. You look at his run blocking skills. He's pretty good. But he's got to improve on the effort. He's got to get better with the penalty situation. And I think coaching can help that with this young kid. And he's going to be the left tackle of this team for quite a bit. And I'm happy with that decision. What do you say?
We would be hypocrites to say that BA can only coach up Winston. He can say he can coach up Donovan Smith as well.
Sure.
We'd be hypocrites. They're both 25 years old. And hopefully, like I said, my biggest issue with him was the penalties. I can understand if you got beat and you held somebody to keep your quarterback from getting sacked and causing a fumble. I've seen Damar Dotson do that. That's a good. To me, that's a good hold.
Mm-hmm.
You're not letting your offense cause a turnover. Just take the 10-yard penalty and live to fight another day.
Sure.
But yeah, my issue with him, and I've seen with a lot of them, even Ali Marpet, even on run plays, it's like they're catching blocks. It wasn't like it's like they weren't delivering the blow. It's like they're pass blocking on run plays, and like hopefully that was what's over and done with now. Hopefully that wasn't a coaching scheme, but hopefully we can change that. And offensive line be more aggressive instead of catching blocks all the time.
Michael says Browns can still be nasty this year, just saying they can absolutely with all the talent. There should be no excuse where this team can't win a division or at least make the playoffs with the talent that they have on their team. Daryl says Warren Sapp was your best defensive player. I might be spelling that wrong. You got it right. I do like the movies they are making, though. Go Big Bucks. Chef Swags, do you guys feel like it's a playoff or bust year for the Bucks? Look, I think Bruce Arians didn't come in here to coach this team to lose. Yeah. They're going to go for the playoffs. They're going to do everything they can to coach this team up. And I definitely think they can get to double-digit wins with the talent that they have and the talent that they're going to add in the draft. I absolutely believe that. Mount Rushmore of all-time Bucks, Brooks, Barber, Sapp, Selman. That's pretty good. Jeremiah says, are you still broadcasting? Absolutely. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Mr. Blake Cable on Blake&Blake Sports. If you had to pick one player who was not a top performer to transition to AAF, who would you pick and why? So,
non-top performer?
Yeah.
In the NFL, the transfer to AAF?
I thought it was AAF to the NFL. I'm picking Terrence Garvin. I definitely think he is a guy that needs to get a look with the way he's played, although that stupid penalty last Saturday night did not help his cause.
Yeah, Garvin's definitely, that boy's balling, man. He's just seeing it. I mean, he's a little older. I think he's like 27, 28.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely using his experience now. He's reading plays and dissecting them before they even happen. Hopefully that's somebody we can look at because we're definitely hurting at the linebacker position.
Oh, I agree. And he's all around the ball, and he's had previous experience, I believe, with the Steelers. So we'll take a look. We'll take a couple more questions, and then we'll end it for the night. This has been a great show here on Blake&Blake Sports, on the Sports Web, on the Red Flag Podcast, whatever you want to call it. It's here live nightly on Bucks Report. We do it for you, this March Madness edition. Again, I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about along with Mr. Blake Cable. Fitz beat the Saints and Winston lost, just saying. All right, Daryl, you're trolling. Coaching, running game, and defense. Agree. Yep. And gone is Derek Brooks, as we will see. So on that note, final thoughts, Mr. Blake Cable, on this great show on Bucks Report.
Final thoughts. I agree. A lot of this is light. This is going to be the defining point of light right here, and the start of Bruce Arians too, getting fans excited. And you know, if we finish 8-8, as long as we've gone down fighting and it's not like a total disarray or something like that in the season, which I don't think is going to happen. But my final thoughts is I just really want the Bucks to really take a look at what they're doing, even at that 5th pick. Is it somebody that's really going to fit in this system? I'll be behind you guys, but I really see the vision, whatever you guys are going to do. But we really need a change here, man. These fans, me and you and I are both fans. Everybody needs a break from being in the toilet bowl for this long. We need to be at the top of the division for one. Give these fans some playoff football and some excitement. They spend time tailgating, doing broadcasts, and talking about this team. We just really need this change that we keep saying. Culture change. We really need one.
I agree. Let's take a couple more questions. We'll end it off here. If you were drafting for the Bucks, who would be your first pick? Quinnen Williams. Good question, Michael. Thanks a lot. Welcome to Blake and Blake Sports and the Sports Web, which is nightly here on Bucks Report. How do you feel we did in the latest free agency? I definitely think that it wasn't the most exciting free agency, but overall the strategy with the little money they had, they added a lot of talent that's going to be under the radar at first, but you're going to see it come to fruition during the season, if that makes sense. Thoughts on Ronald Jones, GM pass, a lot of running backs over the years. Joe Mixon, Dalvin Cook, Kareem Hunt, and more. I can't remember. That would also be Kamara in that. And he has passed on a lot of running backs. So Jones was a disaster last year. He's going to get an opportunity. Jason Light believes in him. They definitely believe in Peyton Barber. Well, what you have to do is improve this offensive line. It starts at the right guard spot. They got Earl Watford in free agency. They most likely will address that position either at the right guard or the right tackle position and go from there. That's it, guys. We're going to end it here. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about along with Mr. Blake Cable. Guys, have a good night. And remember, join us on Saturday at noon at Ferg's on Central Avenue for our AAF watch party. It starts at noon with Blake and Blake Sports. Have a good night.
See you guys.